Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I'm checking my volume to make sure that it's the right way on this video. I forgot to check before I started. Before I get started, and guess who stuck their head up on the same day in the same city as the proper party in New York? That would be Joseph Lubin. I've got probably one of the best clips ever. It's like he's finally revealing himself, and I'm going to show it to you, and I'm going to go through it with you, the whole thing. First, I want to remind you to go check out Joe Indoso, president of Link2, about Link2's journey from startup to IPO. They're planning to IPO now, and he's going to take you through it. They are one of my sponsors. He's going to do a Twitter Spaces Live. In fact, you can set your reminder right there on Link2 at Link2 Inc. on their Twitter profile there. Check this out.
Why the behavioral difference between the gold investor and the crypto investor?
I think that what the government's trying to do is what Frank Juicer talked about is try to hurt the on-ramp and off-ramp under the Bitcoin ecosystem. But they did that in the 30s with gold. They basically took away the gold. You had to turn it in unless it was numismatics. But I think the concern is that that's what the government would try to do. But I think we have to recognize that it's global. Digital kids who have GPU chips, there were 30 million kids using their computers to do their homework, gaming, and then when they go to bed, they were mining Ethereum. So they're used to the digital phenomena of money and economics. I grew up with monopoly money. So I think that this is not going to go away. There's a different enthusiasm.
Right. Okay. Check this out. I mean, there's so many weird things going on right now. This is that Kristen Ager Hansen guy. This is from Calvin Air on September 26th. I would like all the lawyers to know today that we are no longer involved. We're not in any arrangement with law firms at all other than paying for Craig historically, Craig Wright. We are now out. And they need to send all invoices to Craig Wright. He already owns the retainers. I will get Elaine to send this message today if no one has any other ideas. So whoever was backing Craig Wright is out. I guess they don't believe that he's Satoshi anymore. Then we had Stephen Nerioff put this out. He says, why is Patrick McHenry all bent out of shape about that Gary Gensler won't give documents about FTX or SBF? It's not like he was somehow involved or SEC used FTX's implosion to get political and public backing to crush crypto. It's likely just a printer issue. Folks, I've been saying it from day one. FTX, think about it, all the same people that are on the same team and everything else in ETHgate, CNBC, 60 Minutes, all these network shows, all these people who are carrying propaganda, it's all the same people. SEC, all the agencies, they're all on the same team. We've been asking for years on this channel, why? And here's the other thing. There are things that have come out of nowhere. I've seen them come out of nowhere. Every time something comes out of nowhere, beware. Okay? FTX, when I said it a long time ago, FTX came out of nowhere. I had never even heard of it. And I had been in this space for a long time. I had never even heard of it. Never even heard of it. You have to wonder if certain people, certain companies are sent. This one right here, I watched the 60 Minutes with SBF. And the whole thing with his video games, he's playing video games while he's doing interviews. They made a big deal out of it. My question is, because this is what's always bothered me, this is the FTX organizational chart. That was not created by a guy, just one guy who likes to play video games during an interview. I don't care how smart he is. He didn't do that. Someone or something much bigger than SBF did that. almost like it was created to at some point, created as a laundering operation to eventually destroy it, or if you had to destroy it, and when you destroy it, use it. Or maybe it they didn't plan on it being destroyed, but once it was, they decided they would use it to beat over the head of these. And I think that's what Narioff is getting at. Remember, it wasn't let me back up here. I think that's what he's getting at. Remember, it wasn't just Gary Gensler meeting with FTX, and we haven't heard, nobody has reported at all on who was meeting with FTX with Sam Bankman-Fried. But here, Cowboy Crypto, who is the official cowboy of the Digital Asset Investor channel, is pointing it out. But this same company, FTX, folks, they were meeting with the White House, Congress, CFTC, SEC, and nobody's allowed to see what they were meeting about. What? And then along comes Joseph Lubin, and he did it on the look. This guy, if we've learned anything, this guy's a sociopath. Okay, look at him holding his elbow. I'm going to let you listen to this. It's like it's like Dr. Evil has just decided, here, I'll just tell everybody what I'm up to now. Watch this, and I'll stop it to explain to you what he's saying.
So let's start off with the SEC.
Good joke.
No, but actually, seriously, how do you think about this crypto versus government battle? We've seen a lot of that heat up in the last few months, and something we've been seeing over the last decade. Any kind of long-term thoughts on where that nets out, or how do you sort of see that evolve?
Yeah, so to keep it simple, we were more worried a few months ago. We are less concerned now.
Why is that?
So the executive branch in the U.S.
Grab the elbow.
Is interested in slowing or killing crypto for national security reasons. Essentially, the U.S. Runs the world, so they believe, and they run the world through intermediaries, especially financial intermediaries. Our technology is all about having a new trust foundation and removing the need for intermediaries in many cases, or right-sizing the amount of power and extraction of value of intermediaries in other cases. And that's effectively incompatible with the way the leaders of the United States prefer to run things. Not incompatible with the American experiment, I think, which favors things like free speech,
Entrepreneurship, also other hunches to make things better.
Open markets, free market capitalism, even, which we don't really have in the United States. So they're gonna do what they normally do when any new technology emerges that they have to capture, that they feel they have to.
Look, don't think this guy hasn't been watching. We've referred to regulatory capture and what he and his friends did at the SEC.
Sure, so internet, webs, cryptography,
SSL altogether.
Yeah, exactly, and so they'll overreach as much as they can, and the legislative branch of government will split 50-50 to some degree.
He's telling you what they did right now. He's telling you in this video.
And they'll battle it out a little bit. And we're seeing clear heads prevail in the judiciary, as one would expect.
Remember those videos where he would describe how Bitcoin and Ethereum, they have regulatory clarity, and now it'll be really difficult for any other project. Remember that?
And so we'll get unbiased reads of the laws and scrutiny of behavior of different agencies. The Supreme Court is
he's about to tell you about Ripple.
Looking like they're not pleased with how certain agencies are behaving. So there's this notion of deference to agencies, meaning, hey, the agencies are SECs, et cetera, are experts. They must be good people. They obviously know it.
Remember, he called them his friends when they were giving him the free pass. These were his friends at the SEC. But now he tries to pretend like he's at odds with them. He's only at odds because he thinks he's worried about his free pass being revoked.
We're going to give them leeway to make rules, and the Supreme Court is recently pushing back on deference and sort of maybe eliminating that approach to how the judiciary deals with them. So the Ripple XRP
Sorry, you can hear me typing in the background. I didn't know you could hear that.
Was very favorable to centralized exchanges and wallets.
So he's taking a shot at Ripple. The Ripple decision was very favorable to centralized. So he immediately ties centralized to Ripple.
Anybody who cares.
He's not, he's completely, he doesn't want you to know who the disguised whales are, but he's completely decentralized, massively decentralized is what he says.
About doing things with tokens, we were concerned that there might be FUD rulings.
You were concerned that the XRP army was going to have the SEC, force the SEC to come down on you because we found out exactly what was attempted.
Gary would wave his arm and declare all tokens officially illegal according to the SEC, and that would be
lucky for Joseph Lubin. So far, Gary's masters have not allowed him to go after Lubin and friends.
A bit problematic for our business at MetaMask. It wouldn't be catastrophic because we're in nearly 200 countries around the world, and so we would lose a decent chunk of our revenue, but we would continue to operate and we'd emphasize other places. So bottom line.
What if you were accused of fraud? Would you be able to continue to operate then?
We can, as an ecosystem, we can continue to operate.
What if you were accused of money laundering? Would you be able to operate then?
Globally and in the U.S., kind of.
What if you were accused of disguising whales? Remember, the statute of limitations, I believe that they're trying to let that run past the 10 years. I think 10 years is the mark so that they can't be gone after over the Ethereum ICO, because that's where all the real bodies are buried.
Unfettered, with much more attention to rigor around decentralizing things, because when things are decentralized, then the Securities Exchange and Centralization Control Commission, that's what they're there for. Centralization is something that needs to be regulated.
Why not refer back to the Hinman speech now?
And as long as we design as we should and execute as we should in our ecosystem, then the SEC can't do that much in a sane world. So that's hope.
Do you think that this was just the play that had to be in this timeline? Like it just had to take these many years to figure out how people sort of get.
He's about to tell you. He says the plan, if we had one, the plan, and he this is where, and he calls it a clash of something. You'll hear it in a second. He's going to bring back up the Ripple case, and watch this.
Comfortable with understanding what's going on at the higher levels of the government, or is it that is just a one-off case that the Ripple case sort of kind of won the case law here on what the definitions are, but it may not actually mean that everything else is fine too?
Hold that elbow.
So the timeline's interesting. I and others felt at the beginning of this adventure that we're doing some things that are going to lead to a clash of civilizations.
Clash of civilizations. Now, I think that's this is just my opinion, but I think that is code. That there would be a clash between he and Ripple, and he wanted to design something so that he could win the clash.
one based on centralized top-down command and control trust. The other.
If you remember, I've played a clip. Remember Brad Burnham from Union Square Ventures? He's the guy that gave the presentation for all these guys of the safe harbor memo and all that stuff. He's the one that met at the SEC with Bill Hinman and all of them and gave the presentation. And I've played a clip where he's sitting on stage and he's comparing this to what how Facebook and Twitter and all this was centralized, and he was selling that to them. But you got to go away from that, and you got to go towards this decentralization. The problem was the disguised whales. What all this is and was is they're disguising it as decentralization when it's really centralization, and that's the problem. That's the reason we're all jumping up and down, is because till you know who those disguised whales are, this is all BS.
Based on this new invention, decentralized trust, and they're the incumbents, and they've got the guns, and but we got the people.
He's talking about the incumbents as if he is on the other side, and the SEC and the incumbents or whatever. No, he was working with them.
The plan, if there was a plan,
the plan.
To keep our heads down and build and build and build.
The plan. He's going to tell you what this is all about. The plan was the plan was regulatory capture, to leave Ethereum alone for long enough so that it could get a monopoly. That's what the freaking plan was. I was saying it 3 years ago. That's what the plan was. But he invokes FTX too. Thanks, Sam Bankman-Fried, almost as if FTX was a part of the plan to further stall the industry.
And see how far we can get.
See how much of a monopoly we can get.
Before they really take notice. And thank you, Sam Bankman-Fried and others. So CeFi essentially made things a little more difficult.
That right there, that clip right there, that's 6 minute and 30-second clip right there, folks. That's him telling you exactly what they did and who they are. That's exactly what that is. I hope that clip needs to get 1 million views. And then Digital Perspectives, Brad Combs is directly over the target. We got this Stephen Narioff out here, and he said he knows who the disguised whales are. And right here he says, hey, Stephen, how about you drop that list of disguised whales so we can blow this fraud out of the water? Exactamundo. Stephen, don't use that list to try to get yourself a payoff or get you something and then lock it up. That's not what we want out here. We want to blow this up. We want to blow this up. We don't want you to get some deal and then you're on a beach in wherever. And I want to be clear that look, we'll drop all this support in a half a second if that's what this is about. So good for Brad Combs to say that. Now, listen to this clip.
So
he's describing when they first started on Ethereum, and this is when Stephen Narioff was there, helping to keep them out of jail. How you gonna go to jail if you weren't doing something wrong?
On the Ethereum project for a year and setting up the Ethereum Foundation during that period, and it was about. And a lot of people were shy of the United States at that point because the United States liked to put people in jail for creating their own currency.
Yeah, so you think things are bad now?
Yeah, well, it was just really uncertain at that point. So there were some, maybe criminal projects, Liberty Reserve or something like that.
I do remember that.
Yeah,
something like that.
We didn't want the United States to have the FBI waiting for us when we landed JFK and tackle us to the tarmac and make a big spectacle of the Ethereum project. And so we set up shop in a country that appreciated free speech, freedom, democracy, things like that.
That's not what Valerie Chapinick said. I've got her on video. I've played the video on this channel. She said that the SEC could go out and touch anyone if they touched U.S. investors. And I think it's pretty clear that Ethereum touched U.S. investors. They could go after them yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Unless maybe that statute of limitations expires.
Privacy, a little more than the United States did. So that was Switzerland. That was a safe and smart, good move at that point in time. And it was a time when these were serious issues. There was real fear around setting things up. So Consensus started a year in, essentially to continue the vision and mission of Ethereum. And we didn't know what that meant. Essentially, it meant to do whatever it took to foster adoption. We did splashy things.
All right. And then this one, listen to this little clip. This is a gem too.
Well, we used to use the term enterprise to mean something like JP Morgan or Microsoft. Now it means something like Compound or Aave or...
Oh, that's a really good... Yeah, that's
Enterprise Ethereum Alliance meant JP Morgan, huh? And then finally, we'll end here. SEC has been sending feedback and holding private meetings with applicants regarding their spot Bitcoin ETF filings. SEC is finally engaging a big change from the contemptuous silence, delays, and eventual rejection. We shall see. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, tell your friends and family. All we ever wanted was a level playing field, and that means level as in you go at, if you've got someone you want to go after everybody. Don't pick and choose who you're going to go after and then help the others that are doing things far worse than the people you're going after. No. That's not the way this should go down. Thanks for listening.